This KORUS FTA was supposed to be the standard bearer for most FTAs in the future. All of a sudden, President Trump wants to completely change this, but now it seems that it's not going to be a major overhaul, but rather a quick fix.
Yes. So if we know one thing about Trump's trade policy is that he is deficit averse. So it's only natural that he'd want to renegotiate this FTA with South Korea, given his views, because as the Trump administration points out, and figures show, the trade deficit has actually doubled with South Korea since it was signed in 2012. So in July, the U.S. initiated the process of trying to look into whether they could get South Korea's agreement to redo this deal, or at least, modify it. And at first it looked like South Korea was not game, but I think they wanted to have some deal. And so now here we are today at the first round of sort of official talks to see how they're going to modify this deal.
So do we have any sense of what's really on the table? If the United States got everything it wanted out of a renegotiated agreement, what would it look like? How would it be different?
So another factor that makes us think that the U.S. wants to nibble at the edges of this is that the Trump administration has not notified Congress, as it would have to do under the Trade Promotion Authority, which then involves Congress and is a much bigger deal in sort of rectifying these trade agreements. So what we think will be on the table might be some changes to autos and to agriculture. I think the U.S., bottom line is they want to make sure there's more production in America so they can export more, and they would want to open up South Korea's market a bit more. And those are two areas ripe for that.
How important is a KORUS FTA for the U.S. compared to other deals such as the NAFTA?
Well, South Korea is the U.S.'s surprisingly sixth biggest trading partner, so that there's a huge relationship there. And I think something else that has come into play is this relationship and alliance that the U.S. has right now in South Korean foreign policy. There's a neighbor to the north of South Korea, North Korea, that right now, is a bit of an imminent issue. And so I think as much as this trade deal, needs to be done in one level because the Trump administration has said we're going to tackle trade deficits, there is a wider factor at play.
So, Sarah, you make a really important point. There is the North Korean situation, which complicates that. Does that limit the extent to which we can really look to what the United States is doing with South Korea as an indicator of a broader trade policy? Or is this sort of a one-off, as it were?
Yeah, it's such a good question because, Trump came into office really targeting China, saying, we're going to crack down on China's unfair trade practices. And we haven't really seen that come to fruition yet. And China's another big partner in the North Korea issue. And so it'll really come to pass right now with South Korea. I think we'll see what's going to happen there. And if you look at comparison at NAFTA with Canada and Mexico, they don't have that same relationship right now where they're also looking at foreign policy. And the U.S. has really gone to town with asking for huge changes to that deal. So I think we'll get a gauge from the South Korea deal on what's happening there, if there's some trade-offs on foreign policy issues in this trade pact.